Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Friday night chill stream of Calls. We are going to be doing some round 3 and, more importantly, weekend golf contest. So, going to be a fun show. I'm back to my bread and butter, if you will, in terms of weekend golf and showdown. That we have 2 rounds. Won't be full as the waste management is still going on, I believe, but we will have 2 rounds of data from ShotLink, so no alternate courses, nothing like that, and we are going to be on the same course throughout the weekend. So all 4 rounds will have data. So I'm looking forward to it. Back to a regular style event on the PGA Tour. First thing I want to do is bring up Windfinder. And as you can see, tomorrow's forecast is awful. It's just awful for scoring, at least. It'll make for fun viewing, for sure. And don't mind me as I keep looking around and such. I am trying to organize all my chat settings and whatnot. But as you see, in the morning tomorrow, tons of wind. Tons and tons and tons of wind. It's going to be brutal. Let me know how the light settings are. I'm getting a little bit of shade or shading. So please let me know how the light settings are. In fact, let me try something here real quick. And I am still here. No need to throw up the notification. Maybe that helps. If I turn on a second light, a second side light, maybe that helps. Yeah, that does it. All right, so sorry about that little bit of shading going on since I only had one side light on. But anyway, welcome. Hope your week has went well. You're ready to relax to some music and let me guide you through some optimal lineups for some weekend golf for the waste management. So as you can see here, just a terrible amount of wind tomorrow morning especially, which means that I don't think that cut line is moving. I think it'll be +1. And I'll bring up the PGA Tour leaderboard. I imagine that it has been, play's been suspended for darkness. So with that, we've got players on 12. What's that? 5 holes remaining. Anybody? Yeah. So Terrell Hatton, he's Kevin Tway, James Hahn. So we've got a lot of holes still to play. And you see, +1 is the cut. Seeing at T64 with the amount of wind that I see in the forecast, I do not think that the cut line is going to move. I don't think it'll go up, meaning to +2, because look at the amount of players that are at +1. But I do not think, or I think the +1s are fairly safe in getting into the cut. I do. So with that, I'll keep Windfinder up. I have not gathered any of the statistics from Fantasy National, considering the tournament was still going on. So let me do that. And you see Maverick McNeely has withdrawn from this tournament again. So he has to be dealing with a pretty bad shoulder injury, as he withdrew last week at Pebble Beach. He's withdrawn this week at Waste Management. But I have not gathered these stats yet since the Waste Management was still going on. So let me do that while I can. And again, all of this is possible thanks to Fantasy National. So if you are not a member at Fantasy National, I highly recommend that you go check them out. It is a very worthwhile investment. It's going to make you a much smarter gambler, much better DFS player, and they are working on a project right now. And now would be a fantastic time to join Fantasy National. So, like I said, let me grab this data since play has been halted now. Xander, Michael Thompson. Okay, that looks like it is in order. Don't think I'm going to be grabbing, I'm not grabbing total. So just the main four. Alright, so I grab these statistics because I am going to compare them to their base. So let me unhide these columns real quick. I will do those calculations. Unhide, so the base is T. So I want T minus F. No. If your base is 49 and you are 31, you're 18 better. So F minus T is what I want. Oh gosh, dang it. No, I want T2 minus F2. There we go. And then what's this? Z and G? Or I mean U and G? Yep. Alright, so there's the first portion of all of this. I will hide those columns. We grab performance driving in greens. So, distance, fairways, greens, and scrambling. Distance, fairways, greens, and scrambling. Okay. And lastly, we'll grab scoring metrics here. But as you jump in or arrive, please jump in chat. Would enjoy the interaction. Want to hear from you all. How are your week-long lineups doing at the moment? Who are you focused on in terms of round 3 or weekend golf for the waste management? Please feel free to jump into chat. Alright, with that, I believe that is everything that I would like to gather. In terms of stats so far this week, now what I need to do is to sort this and figure out who has been overperforming some of their statistics. So I'm going to sort on the putting difference first, largest to smallest, meaning as you can see, Siwoo Kim this week is 4th in strokes gained putting. Normally he is 118th on Bermuda greens. Drastically overperforming his career base norms. Then we look at as we continue on down the list. I like to figure out who might be a sense of false gold, if you will. And then these players have drastically underperformed their usual Bermuda metrics. And I will resort on salary. Why not? And I need to black out Maverick McNeely with him having withdrawn. But you can see, apologies, I'll have my phone just making sure that I don't miss anything important. You see somebody like John Rahm, who is normally about the 37th best putter on Bermuda greens in this field. He's been 10th this week. So overperforming slightly. You see Tom Kim is the number 1 putter this week. Generally speaking, he's 81st. So that would give me quite a bit of concern. However, we have seen his prowess on fast Bermuda greens, and that's what generally these are. With the wind, however, I don't know if that's something that we know for certain that these are going to be fast. I know they're firm, but are they fast? That's a very good question that we need to ponder throughout the evening. I'm also going to bring up ESPN for some course statistics for when we look at specifically round 3 showdown. Stats. No, gosh dang it, I wanted scores. Apologies, it's been a little bit since I've come to ESPN. Ow. Alright, so player stats, we need to find, of the players who have the Eagles, are any of them on non-par 5s? Because if they are, their score might be a little bit of fool's gold, if you will. So there's John Rahm. His Eagle is on a par 5. Nothing to do there. Sung Jae had an Eagle in round 1 on 15, so that is fine. Nick Taylor on the 3rd. That's fine. Ricky on the 13th. Stallings 13th. Jason Duffner, the man who just won't stop playing golf. All the power to him for having the longevity. Justin Lauer, Brian Harmon. So far, every single Eagle has been on a par 5. So nothing out of the ordinary here. Yep. Okay. So nothing to do with the Eagles. Now we can look at some course stats, and we'll take a look at this a little bit later on for specific showdown, like round 3 showdown. Let's come back. Actually, what I want to do is split screen this, so give me a moment. Because we need to eliminate the players who are not going to make the cut. Let's see. I suppose probably just be easiest to go to the leaderboard for this. So anybody that is plus, I'm going to say 3 or higher, because there is a small chance apologies. There's a small chance, I suppose, that it could fall to +2, but I really doubt it. I do. I really doubt it. So, you know what? I am actually going to eliminate the +2s. Alright, so we go. It's just going to be easier if I go in alphabetical. Sort on the player. So, Brennan Steele. Thanks for playing. Kramer Hickok. Russell Knox and Russell Henley. I mentioned throughout the week, especially on Wednesday night, Russell Knox just does not play well in the wind. And with as windy as it has been, no surprise to see Russell Knox miss the cut. Tom Hoge missing the cut. He generally plays in the wind very, very well. But you can see he was drastically underperforming his putting, so that explains quite a bit. Matthias Schwab misses. Doc Redman misses the cut. Michael Thompson and Dalton Ward. Davis Riley and Patton Kazire. JJ Spawn, JT Poston, and Adam Svensson. +6, you got Austin Smotherman, Max McGreevy, Mark Hubbard, Christian Bezadenhout, JB Holmes, Brian Gay, Brett White, Francesco Molinari, Andre Metzger, Michael Hopper. So those are the players that guaranteed are going to miss the cut. You've got several others up here that I'm kind of hesitant to mark out. Now, Troy Merritt hasn't been playing well, sure. Montgomery, Morikawa, they could sneak up into the +2, +1 area. So I'm a little hesitant to mark out those players. However, what we can do is look at who we know is going to make the cut. And go from there. So we resort this on salary. I'm going to bring the leaderboard up over here. That way we can look at that and you can see the entirety of the spreadsheet here. All right. And if somebody is on the fence of making the cut, we'll adjust. But again, one of the first things that I like to do when determining weekend golf or showdown or whatever, let's take a look at some of these players putting. We talked about Tom Kim and how he is drastically overperforming his putting right now. And drastically. Now, he has been subpar in every other strokes gained metric or major 4 strokes gained metric, but he is quite high or quite overperforming his putting, which gives me a lot of concern. And I was out on Tom Kim already. So I do not like the idea of using a Tom Kim. You look at Matthew, and not only that, his wind is not the strongest. It is not the strongest. Not terrible. Oh crap. Apologies. but you see his win performance isn't the strongest either. Referring to Tom Kim. On the other hand, somebody like Matt Fitzpatrick here, who's traditionally been very good in the wind, second best player when it is difficult. He has been drastically underperforming his putting. Normally a very good putter. He has been very bad all the way across, except for his irons. They've actually been pretty good this week. So Fitzpatrick is somebody that I think is going to play much better than what he has shown so far. And we look at the leaderboard. Fitzpatrick sits at right on the cut line. He's at +1 right now. So not fantastic. This is definitely somebody to target if he makes the cut, as he will be playing in the worst of the conditions tomorrow, trying to make the cut. Again, there is the forecast for tomorrow. Just brutal amount of wind early in the morning for the guys that are trying to make the cut. If Matt Fitzpatrick does indeed make the cut, I really like him. But that is really, really difficult. It's really difficult for him to do, considering what you're looking at right here. Other players here: Sam Burns, Terrell Hatton. Sam Burns, we've always talked about how good he is on Bermuda, but he has never played this event very well. He just hasn't. Sam Burns right now sitting at +2. I really don't think he's going to make the cut. Terrell Hatton, I believe he is somewhat comfortably inside the cut line. Yeah, he's sitting at -3. He is very, very good when it's difficult. I know it doesn't look like it there. He's 44th, but he is very, very good when it's difficult. I think Terrell Hatton is going to be pretty good this weekend, considering how difficult it's supposed to get. He has drastically underperformed his putting. I mean, to be fair, he's overperformed off the tee and with the approach, but we know that the ball striking is there this week. And he's normally a pretty good putter on Bermuda. So I do like Terrell Hatton in that regard. Brian Harmon, somebody else who is generally pretty good on Bermuda. And look, he has underperformed in every single aspect of the game. He sits at, I believe, -1. Yeah. He's sitting at -1. Brian Harmon is somebody that I would be gravitating towards quite heavily for weekend golf. He's generally played this event very well. He's underperforming all of his base metrics. I like what I see from Brian Harmon. Shane Lowry sitting at +4. I think he is going to miss the cut. But he's somebody who has been drastically underperforming on the greens. Tommy Fleetwood. Where's Tommy sitting? Felt like he was right on the cut line. He's sitting at +2. So not the best. He could very well miss the cut. Let's take a look at the players that we know are in. Actually, I think I need to remove some more players. It's a little bit overwhelming here. I'm sorry, I'm having a little debate with myself on how I want to proceed forward, considering the round hasn't concluded yet, and we've marked off all the players that have finished their round and are pretty confident that they're going to miss the cut. But players like Fitzpatrick, who are sitting on the cut line, Tommy Fleetwood, who's sitting on the cut line, a little more difficult to gauge. Let's see. We can take a look at, just kind of go down the leaderboard, I suppose. Scotty Scheffler, Jon Rahm, both play very well in the wind, very well when it's difficult. Both have been slightly, and I mean slightly, overperforming their putting, but nothing astronomical, I would say. Jon Rahm, in fact, has not been as good of a ball striker as he normally is, but he's been much, much better in the short game. Scotty Scheffler has overperformed everywhere except around the green. You see, Scotty Scheffler is the #1 ball striker right now, which makes sense. He's leading the tournament. Shoots 64 today. You've got to think long and hard about Scotty Scheffler, I think, this week, or for the weekend. I like Jon Rahm quite a bit. He's still very, very expensive, but I like Jon Rahm quite a bit. I'm actually going to hide these as well. Just want to focus on the putting for now. Somebody like Xander, I'd be a little hesitant about, for sure. He has been the top scrambler this week so far. He is overperforming the putting, and he's 41st, meaning he's generally mediocre on Bermuda greens. Xander is somebody that I would be a little hesitant about, a little bit. I'm not going to outright remove him or mark him in red, but I'd be hesitant. Max Homa has been right on his career Bermuda putting, or at least Bermuda in the past year plus. The irons have been there. I like Max Homa quite a bit. But as I mentioned, as you jump into the show, please drop by and chat. Would love to hear from you all. Who are you thinking about using in terms of weekend golf and round 3 showdown? Siwoo, drastically overperforming. I mean, look, he has not done anything well this week other than putt, and that is why he sits inside the cut line -1. I want no part. That's the first player I can eliminate. I want no part of Siwoo Kim this week. This weekend, I should say. He's been 4th in putting. Everything else is triple digits or close to it. No thank you. No thank you at all. Adam Hadwin at 7,600 seems like it's a pretty good deal. He is overperforming the putting, but I mean, look, he has been solid with the rest of his game as well. He's decent enough in the wind. He's good when it's difficult. I kind of like Adam Hadwin. I believe Stallings is also going to miss the cut. He was sitting at +3 last I saw. Perhaps he has regained. Scott Stall. Oh no, he shot really well yesterday, and he's shooting bad today. That's what it is. That's what I saw. Scott Stallings clearly inside the cut line. -3 is where he sits, tied for 18th. He did shoot +2 today. He is not very good when it's difficult. Not very good at all. Now, his irons have been very, very good. But seeing him when it's difficult, he is good in the wind. That's really hard. I mean, I'll give him a slight consideration. Hey, James, thanks for jumping into chat. How are your lineups looking? My lineups are looking pretty darn good, if I do say so myself. I have been wrong on Emiliano Grillo. I used quite a bit of Grillo. I liked how this set up for him, and that was a wrong decision. But literally everything else, I feel like I've gotten right. I mentioned that I was going to lose to Justin Thomas and Tom Kim if they played well, and they're playing well. But you can't cover every single base. So I don't consider that a wrong suggestion or a wrong call. That was just what I'm looking at. But these are the 16 lineups that I submitted. And again, with play suspended, we don't know who is going to make the cut and whatnot, especially if you're right on the edge there. Because right now the cut's sitting at +1. And if you haven't seen the wind for tomorrow, especially tomorrow morning, it is brutal. Brutal. 40-mile-an-hour gusts tomorrow morning. 40-mile-an-hour gusts. Looks awful. With that said, I don't think that cut line moves, because +1 right now sits tied for 64th. It's T65 and ties that get in. Having said that, I don't know if it goes to +2, because there are a lot of players sitting at +1 right now who are done. You got Moore, Lipsky, Wise, List, Kirk, Putnam, Noren, Gim. You got 8 players who are in the clubhouse done with 2 rounds at +1. You do have a few players that are even, that are, that have quite a few holes left to play. So they, in theory, I guess, could come back to the +1 or +2. But if I had to make a wager, thankfully I don't, on this specific aspect. If I had to take a guess, I think the cut line stays at +1. I do. It's certainly not going to even, I'll tell you that. It might go to +2, but I think it stays at +1. With that, these are the lineups that I have. Anybody in heavy green is done and inside the cut. Like they're even or better. So I'm feeling pretty good about a lot. Now, obviously black are, Russell Henley, who missed the cut. Maverick, I used McNeely once. He withdrew. So the black is, guys that are just done. Players like Xander and Rory and Sungjae, more than likely they're going to make the cut. That's why I've shaded them in a lighter green. They're sitting comfortably inside the cut, but they still do have holes to play and anything can happen. But that's what's going on with them. Players like Noren and Mitchell, Gary Woodland, they're sitting like Gary Woodland's at even. Keith Mitchell's at +1 right now, so I didn't shade them either way. They could, they could go either way, quite literally. Alex Noren, +1. Noren's a little different. Noren is +1, but is finished. So if I had to guess, he's in, but you never know. And then the guys that are highlighted in this tan or whatever color you want to say are guys that are outside the cut right now with holes to go. Like Grillo, you can almost just write him off. Like he's 3 shots behind the cut with 5 holes to go. It's very, very unlikely he makes the cut. Now, he's good in the wind, but, look what he's done this week. It did not shit. He hasn't done shit this week. So, unfortunately, I've got a very, very, very good 4 of 6. Boy, if KH Lee makes the cut, that really, really helps me out to have a strong 5 of 6. I got Rahm, Homa. Keegan kind of fell off a little bit. He started off a house of fire. But Wyndham Clark, I mentioned all week how, and especially Wednesday night, how much I loved Wyndham Clark this week. He's, tied for 4th? I've got him 8 times, I think. No, I only have him 5. I've got him, on my higher entry lineups. I still have a chance at a 6 of 6 here. I haven't seen where Hideki is lately. Where's Hideki? There he is. He's actually -4 today. So that's somebody else I need to highlight. Hideki in this lighter green. So you can see I've got some decent chances at 6 of 6s here. And quite a few of them. Anything can happen, sure. Guys can fall apart in the morning. But as of right now, I would have, assuming these guys make the cut, I would have 4 6 of 6s. And potentially some very, very strong 5 of 6s. So I am optimistic. Like I said last week, I'm quite optimistic. I'm getting ready to check DraftKings on my phone, see where I'm sitting at in terms of money, because I haven't actually checked in a while. Right now I am making profit. It's not a lot. I'm making profit. I'll never complain about that. But that's where my lineups sit right now. I actually haven't done anything with grabbing the amount of points. I plan on doing that later tonight. It's just because round 1 got suspended and then round 2 got suspended. So I didn't have the chance to grab the contest in between round 1 and round 2. Did you play any week long? If so, how are yours looking? But we are Gonna try and find the best lineups that we can for round 3 and weekend. Round 3 is going to be pretty tough because we don't know who's going to make the cut and who's not. I mean, some guys still have as many as 9 holes to play. But if you do play round 3 showdown, you can see the part of the course that has been the most gettable has been in here. So let's take a look at like 8, 9, 10, 11. You've got a 10th over, 3/10 over. So like that's a pretty difficult turn there. Whereas you have under par, that hole's playing pretty tough. Like there doesn't seem to be a favor just because it's playing really, really hard with this amount of wind. So I don't see a favor in terms of front 9 or back 9 for specific round 3. So with that being the case, it's almost I won't say it's a straight swap of round 3 to weekend and vice versa, but you know who I'm going to recommend for weekend, probably who I'm going to recommend for round 3. So with that, let me show you what I've gotten so far. Like Fitzpatrick's sitting on the outside looking in right now. He's a +2. If he does in fact make the cut, oh I'm sorry, he's inside the cut line right now. He's a +1. So he would make the cut right now. If he does in fact make the cut, I really like Fitzpatrick. He's very good when it's difficult, a la the U.S. Open win he had. He's very good in the wind. He is drastically, and I mean drastically, underperformed his putting. He's usually the 20th best Bermuda putter. And important to note, you know, all week I talked about fast Bermuda greens because these have always been fast Bermuda greens. But at least from the eye test yesterday, those greens looked slow. And it would not surprise me if they slowed them down because of all the wind that they are having. So I just grabbed Bermuda putting. I did not do fast Bermuda. I just grabbed all Bermuda putting. That includes Lightning, which, you know, you can argue I shouldn't have grabbed. I just grabbed Bermuda. So I want to make that distinction coming into this. Because all week I talked about fast Bermuda. And now I'm comparing it. I'm comparing their, you know, just total Bermuda. So I want to make that distinction. But Fitzpatrick has been awful on the greens, and he's generally pretty good on Bermuda. So you would think that would even out. The irons are there this week. His off the tee is fine. His distance is everything's there. He just hasn't putt. So I really, really like Fitzpatrick if he makes the cut. Let's talk about Tyrrell Hatton, shall we? Tyrrell Hatton, drastically underperforming his putting. He is the #1 putter on Bermuda in 2022. Just all Bermuda. The guy loves Bermuda. Loves it. He's not putting that way right now. And look at the ball striking. It is solid. Tyrrell Hatton is absolutely core. Absolutely core. And he is sitting -3 right now? Yeah. Now he does have quite a few holes to play, so he could, you know, theoretically struggle and miss the cut tomorrow. But the guy he plays difficult courses well. I cannot believe it's only 44th. He plays difficult courses well. There's a reason he's won the Memorial. Is it the Memorial or the Arnold Palmer? Either way, both of those tournaments are difficult. I gotta think Tyrrell Hatton's going to be very, very good for weekend and round 3. Brian Harman. I talked about Brian Harmon all week, and I was concerned about the distance, but he's played this event well in the past. The ball striking is there. The around the green play's been there. He's good in the wind. He's generally a very good Bermuda putter. He hasn't been. So I think Hatton and Harmon are very, very core right now. And I can hear you saying, but what about Sam Burns? He's generally very good on Bermuda, and he hasn't been. You're right. He's normally the second best Bermuda putter. But nothing else. I mean, he's been good, I guess, around the green. But his ball striking, and this is what I was talking about Wednesday, his ball striking's just not been very good. Now, the driving distance is fine, but he's not hitting fairways. He's not hitting a lot of greens. He's been scrambling okay, but I cannot recommend. I'll put him in orange. He's not an outright, red, because the putter on Bermuda can make up for a lot. But man, has he not been playing well. So I'm off of Sam Burns. I'm completely off of Siwoo Kim. Look at Siwoo. He has been god awful. God awful. But he's fourth this week in putting. Overperforming by 118 spots. Can't do it. I can't do it. Ricky Fowler's much of the same. For as much as I was very high on Ricky, I had him ranked 10th and all that stuff, like, where is he right now? He's like -5 or -6, right? He's, -5. He shot even round 1 and then goes out and shoots -5 today. I figured this would set up well for Ricky, but he's still overperforming his metrics. He's not been good in the wind the past year plus. He's been ball striking it okay, but he's not been this kind of putter either. So I'm off on Ricky, even though I talked him up all week essentially, or especially Wednesday. Let's see. Like I said, it's a little bit difficult to narrow down like a team just because we don't know if guys are going to be making cut or not. So if you have anybody that you want to look at, by all means throw it in chat and I will give them a look, see what I'm seeing. But with players like Cantley who are fighting to make the cut, Cam Young's on the cut line right now, and Fitzpatrick's on the cut line. I guess we can come down into the sixes and see if there's anybody that might strike a fancy. Like the first one that might strike a fancy would have been Lee Hodges, but you see his worst thing this week has been putting, and he's actually overperforming it. So I don't really want any part of that. Tyler Duncan has drastically underperformed his putting. The ball striking's been there. Fairways is fine. The distance has been okay, I suppose. But he's been scrambling around. I don't like that. And I don't even know if he is inside the cut line right now. No, he's not. He's +2. He's got a few holes to go, so he could make his way into it, but if he's scrambling his way around, finding fairways, I don't like I don't know. If you're trying to do a stars and scrubs, maybe Tyler Duncan. You gotta think that because the around the green, he's actually not being good around the green, but he's 16th in scrambling, so something's not adding up there. Now he is drastically underperforming his putting. He's been ball striking it very, very well. I don't know. I guess I could see it, but no one else down here really is striking much of a fancy. To be honest with you, there's a lot of red in in the wind and the difficult. Those who might have some green, like Nate Lashley, he's, his irons have been fine, but you look at the putting, like, oh my gosh, 110th, he must be underperforming. Well, he's actually been at his career norm for Bermuda putting. And like I said, some of these guys just might not even be making the cut. Nate Lashley. I don't see him. Let's see. Now Brandon Wu might be a little interesting here. What's Wu doing? Wu sits T49. He's got 3 holes to go, and he has a shot cushion. Brandon Wu might be interesting. You look here. He's been drastically underperforming his putting. Now, I can't say drastically. He's been underperforming his putting pretty bad. He's not a good putter on Bermuda, so let's get that straight. He's like in the 70s. But he's been very good off the tee. The approach has been respectable. All of these other metrics are respectable. It's not like he's been scrambling his way around. I kind of like Brandon Wu, especially since he plays generally pretty well in the wind. Okay. So at 6,400, like right now, 6,400 is about the lowest I'd be comfortable going, but I do like Brandon Wu and what I'm seeing here. Let's see, like, look at Neesmith. Neesmith's just been bad. Streelman generally plays very well when it's difficult, but he has been really bad this week. All right, Dylan Fratelli. I think Fratelli's inside the cut line right now, comfortably. He's tied for 18th. He went real low today. Really, really low today. He's third in hitting greens right now. Okay. Like, he's not been playing all that well the past year plus, but, if the ball striking's here and the putting reverts back to its norm, okay. Okay. Don't hate Dylan Fratelli either. I need that tab. Long. Where's Adam Long? T49, he's got 2 holes to go. Like Brandon Wu, has a 1-shot cushion. Adam Long has the good win metrics. Good when it's difficult. He's been underperforming. Adam Long kind of interesting. So you do have some 6K options down here, I suppose. Distance has never been his thing, so I'm not terribly worried about that. I don't hate Adam Long here. Let's see. Anybody else? Like, yeah, Kisner's been drastically underperforming the putting, but it doesn't matter if you're not doing a damn thing else anyway. Like, he's in the hundreds for everything. It's just bad. It's just bad. Webb, is he inside the cut line right now? Like I said, I apologize. I haven't been able to keep up with a whole lot. It's been a pretty busy day. So he is definitely in the cut. He is in the clubhouse at even. Now, he's not a good putter on Bermuda, but the ball striking has been there, and he generally plays this tournament well. I'll put it in a light green. I'm not in love with it, but I don't hate it. Kurt Kitayama, I think he is inside the cut line. Yeah, he's in it even. Ball striking's, been there. He's not hitting a lot of greens, but he's hitting fairways. His distance is okay. Yeah. All right. Ish. All right, ish. Yeah, like somebody like Gary Woodland. Look here. I mean, he's very good when it's windy. Generally pretty good when it's difficult. He is 8th in irons right now. He's not putting to his usual base. He's hitting greens. Like Gary Woodland's sitting outside the cut line right now, I believe. Maybe he's on it. Gary Woodland. Nope, he's even, but he has 7 holes to go. It's a lot of golf to play in that wind. But if he makes the cut, I do expect Gary Woodland to be pretty darn good for the weekend. So that's somebody else I think I would gravitate towards in the 6Ks. But I don't think you need to. Quite honestly. I see some pretty elite stats here from Johnny Vegas. He's pretty middling on Bermuda putting, but he's very good when it's difficult. Like I mentioned it Wednesday night. You got to kind of think about Johnny Vegas here. Palmer, no thank you. Denny McCarthy has been really bad. Yeah, okay. Like, look at Denny McCarthy here. McCarthy's generally the 10th best putter on Bermuda. He's generally a lot better around the green. Now, he's overperforming his ball striking, but he's hitting greens. He's hitting. If you're telling me that Denny McCarthy's going to hit this many greens, generally that'd be all over Denny McCarthy. It's usually his irons that hold him back. If he's hitting that many greens, kind of like Denny McCarthy. But again, just be aware, he is at +1 right now, so he's on the cut line. He's got an entire 9 holes to go. So he could miss the cut. But given what I see here, I like Denny McCarthy. Joel Damon, he's never played this event well. He's been bad in the wind in 2022, but he's good when it's difficult. So something's going to change there this week. The irons have been okay. He's slightly underperforming his putting. Like Joel Damon is meh. And okay, I guess. He's not hitting a whole lot of greens, so I'm not in love with it. Like Brennan Todd is generally a very, very good putter, but he's just not ball striking it this week. Sometimes the guys just don't have it, and that's fine. It's whatever. I'll give slight credence to Aaron Wise just because of this. Top 15 in both wind and difficult, and he's underperforming his Bermuda baseline, but he hasn't been hitting greens much. So I'd be a little wary of Wise, but I do like the fact that he generally performs very well when it's windy and when it's difficult. So I do like that. Alex Noren, if he makes the cut, should be pretty good, I would think. He's hitting plenty of greens. Now, the off the tee has been really bad. So, all right, let's see if we can't make a couple of lineups here. And again, it's going to be pretty damn speculative. But I mean, Scotty Scheffler's been the #1 ball striker this week. He is slightly overperforming his putting, but I mean, it's not anything crazy. I think I'm going to start a team with Scotty, even though I don't have him as, core. I'm going to start with Scotty. I do like Max Homa again. He is right on his career baseline in Bermuda putting. The irons have been there. He's always good around the green. I like Max Homa. I talked about how much I think Terrell Hatton and Brian Harman are core, which leaves you, 7650. I like Adam Hadwin. He's just been solid all week. Or he's been solid in every aspect of the game so far. At 7,700, that leaves Keith Mitchell, who no guarantee makes the cut. This you like. You like the off the tee, but he is not doing much of anything else. So, I'll put him in a light green. I'm not crazy about it. Elsewhere, like Seamus Power looks like I think he's going to miss the cut pretty handily. That's Lowry. Yeah, no, that's Molinari. Where's Seamus? No, Seamus is inside the cut line. Okay. But the ball striking has been awful. I don't like that. So never mind on Seamus. Disregard what I was saying on Seamus. I'm kind of out on Seamus. Yeah, there's just not a whole lot here. Chris Kirk probably in. He's at +1. You see the wind, you see the difficulty, you really like that, but boy, the irons are bad. He's hitting greens, but really not hitting distance or fairways. Like, that's ugh. If you like somebody in the mid-7s here, then I would say, fire him up. Denny McCarthy's no guarantee to make the cut. I'm actually going to come down to Johnny Vegas here because I do like what I'm seeing from Johnny Vegas. So I'm going to come down to Johnny Vegas. You've got 700 to maneuver. Maybe if you don't like Homa, you come up to Justin Thomas or Tony Finau. Although Tony Finau's not been as good off the tee because he's not hitting his fairways. Sungjae for that matter. Look at Sungjae. He's slightly overperforming his putting, but it's not like it's a lot. He's been 4th around the green. He's top 35 in his irons. Like, okay. Sungjae probably going to be core. I like Max Homa again. The more I look at it, so I need to put him up here. So you can't quite go from Hatton to Sungjae. I don't know. These are guys that are guaranteed to make the cut. Like, Fitzpatrick is right on the cut line. I really like Fitzpatrick if he makes the cut, but it's no guarantee. So, yes, you're leaving quite a bit of money on the table here, and it's going to be important that you stay up to date with what's happening in the morning. But I'm going to try to focus on guys who I know are going to make the cut. So that's one lineup. Leaving quite a bit of money on the table so you can maneuver that pretty easily. But let's try to do a kind of a stars and scrubsy look. Like I kind of like Brandon Wu down here at 6,400. I don't think I'd be comfortable going to double 6K. Although, what time is the first round 3 tee time? We don't know. We do not know because round 2 is... It'd be different if round 2 was close to being done, but it's not. Some guys have an entire back 9 to go. So, that's the answer I have for you, unfortunately. Now I think what they start today. They started at 7:15 this morning local time. So that'd have been what, 8:15 your time? I think is when they teed off this morning, knowing that they had a lot to try to get in. So I'd imagine their first tee tomorrow is probably going to be around the same time, 8:15 or so. Your time. But if we're gonna do this stars and scrubs look like, I like Brandon Wu, and if you're gonna go Brandon Wu, throw in the big boy, throw in John Rahm. I think we could probably fit in a Scotty Scheffler if we wanted. I had Xander in orange because he's been the #1 scrambler this week. He's overperforming his putting, but he is also the #1 player in greens right now, and he's got a lot of distance. I'm probably going to change this to a very slight green. Again, like Justin Thomas, yes, he's the best player in the wind, top 10 when it's difficult. Off the tee's been very good, but look, the irons have been bad, and he's overperforming his putting. Like, this is why I was off of Justin Thomas coming into this week. Just don't see it. And he has the potential to really, really hurt, make me look really stupid, but it's just what I'm seeing. So if we go Rahm, let's try to go Rahm, Homa, Sungjae. We've got 7,400 basically per player. 74. It's no guarantee he makes the cut. He's right on the cut line right now. But Alex Noren is looking. If he makes the cut, I like what I see from Noren, other than his off the tee, which has never been his thing. But he's a very good putter on Bermuda. He's hitting enough greens. Like, I think Noren should be okay if he makes the cut. I like what I'm seeing from Denny McCarthy. Again, he's been pretty bad on the greens, and if you're going to tell me at the beginning of the tournament that Denny McCarthy is top 35 in the field in hitting greens, which is generally his, not his worst aspect, but he's much more of a short game player. This just feels like Denny McCarthy is playing a lot better than what the stats are showing or what his score is showing. I think he's comfortably in the cut right now. Well, no. Shit. He's at +1 with 9 holes to go. So he's not technically guaranteed to be in the cut right now. If he makes the cut, I'm going with Denny McCarthy. But I'm trying to use players that we know are inside the cut line. Is Woodland finished? No, he's got quite a few holes to go. This is the issue with trying to make these lineups, is that we just don't know. Like I said, I think the cut's going to be at +1 still. F it. I really like Denny McCarthy, and I'll just run with it. So I'm going to go with Denny McCarthy. We used Adam Hadwin in the last team. We'd be duplicating a whole lot more. Maybe Scott Stallings. You could take a look at Scott Stallings. He is definitely inside the cut. Now the issue, though, he's been pretty bad when it's difficult, but he's pretty good in the wind. So one of those two things is going to have to change throughout this weekend. So I'll go with Scott Stallings here. That's a team. That's a stars and scrubsy look. You're fitting in a John Rahm, a Homa, Sungjae, who I think Sungjae, now that I look more at it, I think he's pretty core. Yes, he's overperformed his putting slightly, but I mean, he's hitting plenty of greens. He's been scrambling his way around. That gives me a little bit of pause, I guess. But number one player in the wind with JT is Sungjae. I like what I see there. If you're willing to go double 6K, and I don't know if I would be, but like I said, I really like Brandon Wu down here from what he's showing analytically, hitting a ton of greens. The off the tee game is there. The irons have been fine, especially for somebody who's priced in the 6K. He's very good in the wind. He's underperformed his putting, so I think Brandon Wu, if you're going to come down in the 6Ks, I think Brandon Wu is your core. I don't hate the idea of coming all the way down to Tyler Duncan. I don't like it, but I don't hate the idea of it. He's hitting plenty of fairways with plenty of distance. It's all about the ball striking, and you're banking on the putter coming back to his baseline form for Bermuda greens. But Brandon Wu, Dylan Fratelli has been playing very well this week. Very, very well this week. Fratelli's like top, he's tied for 18th. So let's try to do a double 6K here. I'll go Fratelli and I'm going to go with Gary Woodland. Again, I know he's not guaranteed in the cut right now, but very good in the wind, generally pretty good when it's difficult, and the irons have been there this week. They have been. He's a much better off the tee player than what he's showing. So I'll go with Gary Woodland, expecting him to make the cut, and then we'll go from there. If you're willing to go double 6, load the F up. This is John Rahm, it's Scotty Scheffler, it's Terrell Hatton. I mean, at 78, Keegan. I keep expecting Keegan's putting to fall apart. He's been essentially middle of the road. There's a lot to like with Keegan in this regard here. Third in wind, fourth in difficult. I still think the putter is going to come down at some point. I don't hate Keegan. Like Victor Hovland's doing Victor Hovland things. You could look at Victor Hovland. Generally pretty good when it's windy and difficult. Off the tee has been there. Now he has not been hitting a lot of greens. He's been overperforming his putting. But Hovland is somebody you could probably take a look at. Now Hideki is a much, much better iron player than this. Actually, look at this. I just now really started to focus on Hideki. Hideki is a much better iron player than what he's showing. And this could be it could be a poor iron week for him. Sure. But he's good in the wind. He's good when it's difficult. Everything else has been there. Everything else has been there. Even the putting. And look, he's been underperforming his putting. He's actually decent on Bermuda. He's not hitting a lot of greens, so you expect him to hit greens. Kind of like Hideki. This is going to give us that magical 74, which again is, Alex Noren, perhaps a Chris Kirk. His irons haven't been there, but he's very good in the wind, very good when it's difficult. Aaron Wise, you would be using for the wind and the difficult, kind of like Chris Kirk here, but he hasn't been hitting a lot of greens, so there's a lot of concern there. I'll use Chris Kirk, but take your choice of players in that area of the price board. And then I think the last kind of idea of a team would be, the complete balanced look, in which you're probably going to start this team maybe a Justin Thomas if you're not concerned. Like Morikawa's been pretty darn bad. I don't expect him to make the cut. Cantley's been pretty darn bad. That's actually another thing that I've been wrong about, James. I was really high on Cantley. He hadn't played well. Again, I've used Homa in all of these lineups. I think he's pretty darn safe. I'll use Justin Thomas. I don't like it, but, do what you think here. I'm just trying to use a different set of names for you. Justin Thomas. This one I will go. Let's go. Maybe Victor. Maybe. Definitely want to throw in Fitzpatrick in a lineup in case he makes the cut. Brian Harman is core. You can take a look at Jason Day. Now, generally, Jason Day is not very good in the wind, but his irons have been there. Like he's been pretty darn solid all week. Greens. Now he is third in scrambling. Take that, you got to consider that too. But he's been pretty darn solid so far this week. So perhaps you do something like Jason Day, Brian Harman. 7,600, that's Scott Stallings again. Adam Hadwin is who I would use. I think I'm going to go with Adam Hadwin. There's a look at a balanced-ish team that I could see working. But that is what I have for weekend golf for you all. And round three actually kind of the same, just due to the wind forecast. And I'll update it here for you. But just an astronomical amount of wind in the morning, just tons of wind. So the players that are not finished, they're going to have a struggle tomorrow. I think the cut stays at +1. It could fall to +2. I think it stays at +1 because there's a lot of people tied at +1. So you're going to have to be pretty vigilant in looking at who's going to be making the cut and who's not, because you got several players that are in that +1, +2 category, even par. They have a lot of holes to go. Specifically for round 3 showdown, I don't see a favor. The course is just playing difficult. There's no good birdie run throughout the entirety of the course. Like we look at 8, 9, 10, and 11. Only one of those holes is playing under par. It's 10. So, there's not a good birdie run at 8, 9, 10 or 9, 10, 11. Like 11's playing 3/10 of a shot over par. But you look at like 17, 18, 1 and 2. Now 17's been playing pretty easy, the drivable par 4, sure. 18 is almost 2/10 of a shot over par. 1's been over par and 2's been over par. So I don't see a favor in terms of, gosh dang it, I don't see a favor. Hey, Curious, been lurking. That's fine. Thanks for jumping in chat though. Appreciate it. How's the week been? Hopefully you are ready for a good weekend, relaxing weekend. But I don't see a favor in terms of split. Busy but not busy. Yeah, I know that feeling. I don't see any favor here. And then, for round 3 showdown, I don't see a preferred split. So find the guys that you're gravitating towards that I've been mentioning tonight. If everything else being equal, I think I would gravitate towards looking at difficult for round 3 showdown specifically, because I think this wind's going to pick up. How's the weekend looking with the tournaments? I am liking where I'm at, because all of these heavy green are players that are already finished. They are definitely going to make the cut. The players in light green are inside the cut line right now, but they still have to play tomorrow in that brutal wind that I just showed. So anything could happen, but I feel pretty good about those players making the cut. Now the ones in this tannish whatever, they're on the outside of the cut. So they'd have to play extremely well tomorrow in very difficult circumstances or situation. I don't see them making the cut, especially somebody like Griot, who's he's 3 shots back. I mean, the cut line would have to fall drastically, or he's going to have to play out of his mind to make the cut. So then it kind of comes down to these players that I haven't highlighted at all. These are guys that are right on the cut line with a few holes to go. They either have a 1-shot cushion, or they're right on the cut line. They might be 1 shot off of the cut, and anything can happen. But if I indeed, in a perfect world, if I do get all of the guys that are not highlighted in any color right now, if I get them through the cut, I've got 4 6-6 lineups. With as much carnage that has happened this week, I'm feeling pretty good about my chances. Right now, this set of lineups is making profit. It's not a lot of profit, but it is making profit right now. It has the potential to do a lot. So, but it also could fall apart. It also could very easily fall apart if all of these players miss the cut. Then I'm looking at potentially a pretty difficult week. So that's the issue when you get a tournament that is delayed. How many times are you gonna hear a tournament in Scottsdale, Arizona get delayed for frost? But that's what happened yesterday morning. But you used to be out there, so it is still early in the year, so I imagine frost might be rare, but it's probably not unheard of. But otherwise, that is what I am looking at in terms of a round 3 and weekend golf slate and my recommendations. I will be available up until lineups are due for weekend golf. So if you have any questions, reach out to me on social media or in the comments of this video, over on the YouTube side, I will see your question, your comment, and I'll get to it. I don't like the fact that I'm not able to give you a solid set of players. Some of the guys that I like analytically, there's no guarantee that they're going to make it. Hideki, Fitzpatrick especially, he is right on the cut line right now with like 6 holes to go. So anything can happen. But if he makes the cut, I really like Fitzpatrick this weekend. But that is going to do it for the Friday Night Chill Stream for February 10th. Thanks to everybody who jumped in chat, Curious in Twitch chat, and James over on YouTube. Much appreciated. With your lineups, full week, showdown, weekend, even your wagers. Let me know how it goes. I really want to be able to shout out members of the community who win, and I want to be able to do that Sunday evening, which reminds me, Sunday evening, yes, is Super Bowl Sunday, but I will be here for the initial research show for the Genesis Invitational. So I'll be live during the Super Bowl. So if the game's a snoozer, or if you have no interest in the Super Bowl, calls will be live. So for all of the showdown and weekend golf contests that you enter this weekend, Super Bowl Sunday weekend, for the Waste Management Phoenix Open, may all your bets be profitable. Until next time.